Jak'Sho got nerfed last patch, and while I initially thought that it was going to be fine and you just have to build more Tankier on Warwick, I after playing about 10 games or so of the nerfed Jak'Sho, it turns out that you're just not nearly as tanky as you used to be, and the active effect on it still kind of sucks. So while the item's not horrible on Warwick because it technically synergizes really well with him, it's just weak. It's outclassed, and it's not a mythic item that you really should be building anymore. So what are the new builds that I'm running this season? I'm actually playing really insane this season, so I feel confident in the builds that I'm running. And even though I am playing mostly jungle Warwick right now, I talked to a couple challenger or last season challenger Warwick top lane mains about builds, and we kind of came into I think we can boil it down to 2 builds that are really strong on Warwick right now. So the very first build that I really like running right now, and my favorites, it's the one that I run 90% of the time because it's more carry oriented, is going to be Blade of the Rune King into Divine Sunder. Now I do know if you are playing top lane Warwick, you can actually go Divine Sunder first. This would, in the situation you want to do this, is as if you're playing against a top laner that wants to short trade with you. Say you're playing versus like a Fiora who's going to queue in, and walk away, or a Riven who can easily dash out, kite you out, a Kali, stuff like that. Any champion that you can't sit there and just whack, right click them for a while because they have really good mobility or CC to disengage. Divine can be really good because you can play around Q poke, but you can go Bork Rush or Divine Rush, whatever, in the top lane. In the jungle, go Bork Rush every single time. It's going to give you the best clear speed. It's going to give you really good damage. Now, you might be thinking without going in Tiamat's, your clear speed would be kind of garbage. But with the new jungle pet system, your clear is pretty decent just regardless throughout. And honestly, I'm playing a more proactive, like mid-game focused ganking play style rather than just power farming in general. So I think that it's completely fine to just go Bork. The difference between Bork and Ravenous Hydra in terms of clear speed is not that big. And honestly, Ravenous Hydra got a little bit over nerfed the last time it got nerfed, especially with Jak'Sho also getting nerfed. If you die with Ravenous Hydra, you lose a ton of stacks, and it's really hard to get them back, especially in the jungle. So I've kind of actually dropped going Ravenous Hydra in a lot of my builds right now. We're actually boiling it down to 2 builds that I'm running, and this is the first one, which is Bork Divine. Now, with Bork Divine, the playstyle is essentially it's obviously like hot, heavy damage, pretty good sustain, high burst, and it's something that you're going to want to run against team comps that you feel like you have really good assassination at potential verse or good dueling potential verse. The only situation that I really don't like to go with this build is if I'm playing against a team that has a lot of like cock blocking tools. Say they have like Karma and Lulu on the same team, or they have like a Malzahar. Anything that can really like prevent you from killing someone and locking someone down in a team fight. If you feel like you can't actually assassinate anyone in a team fight or just shred anyone in a team fight with your raw damage, then you might want to look into tankier options, which I will get into in a second. After Bork and Divine Sunder, the builds the items that you're going to be want to run kind of just depends on what you're feeling. I like Maw against heavy AP burst, or Death Dance against heavy AD burst, although I will say both of those items are getting nerfed next patch, so that might change. I also like to go Spear Shojin if I really want more CDR, so that I can spam my E more, spam my just spam my Q and my E more, and also just have more damage. But you can obviously go any tank item, something like a Randuin's. I actually really like Sunfire. I've been trying, I won't say I really like it because it's just something I've been experimenting with. But I actually think Sunfire is a pretty good, like, just tank item, honestly, because it gives you some damage, but I'm actually surprised at just the raw tankiness it gives you. So that is an option that you can consider. Spirit Visage, Wit's End, really depends on what you're feeling and what you need in the moment. The key thing is just core item, Blade of the Rune King, and Divine Sunder. As far as boots are concerned, CDR boots are really good, but tank boots are obviously very, very strong. Plated steel caps are great against heavy AD and auto attack focused teams. And Merc Treads are actually better than they used to be because Legend Tenacity got nerfed recently. And that means that you're more vulnerable to CC. So you'd rather just go Merc Treads, you could actually combine Legend Tenacity with Merc Treads to give you that Tenacity back that you were missing before. So those are some options for the build. And again, this is what I build probably 90% of the time. It's really, really strong in terms of carry potential. It just gives you kill pressure the entire game, and your healing is nuts. You have good DPS, good burst. It just kind of just gives you a little bit of everything other than just like raw tankiness. But even then, I always like to max E second on Warwick nowadays. So you still have some really good, damage reduction against burst, and you have lifesteal and sustain versus DPS. So as long as you're not into the middle of like everyone, it should be okay. As far as runes are concerned, you usually go in the jungle, go press the attack page. Most of the time with this build, you can still go lethal tempo, but lethal tempo is great with Warwick. But with this playstyle, because how much burst damage you have, like with press the attack, you can like bring people, you can just bring people to like 40% health in no time. And the faster you can bring people below half health, the faster you get your insane attack speed bonus from your W. So that's why that's why PTA has always been a pretty good rune on Warwick. So as long as you have the damage, PTA can be really, really good. But if you are playing against a team that has that you're able to just right click a bunch, so you're playing against Diana and Hecarim, stuff like that, champions that you can scrap for a long time, then lethal tempo can be great because you can stack it up and you can just kind of go off in team fights, especially considering you can't really burst those champions very well. In the top lane, as far as runes are concerned, you can go lethal tempo page. You can also go grass page in certain matchups. But I would probably realistically just kind of go these two. I mean, you still could go press the attack, actually. I think press the attack is probably a little bit better. But I haven't tried it yet. So, yeah, I think these are going to be your 3 rune options in the top lane. Now, what about, items that you want to, or what's the second build you want to go if you want to go a more tanky route? Say you're playing against say you fall behind and you want to build tanky and more supportive for your team. Maybe your team just really needs a front line, or you're just countered by the enemy team and they're going to really prevent you from doing what you want to do. Like I said, playing against things like a Lulu, Vayne, stuff like that. And you just don't have the ability to really kill anyone reliably in fights. What do you do then? Well, in those scenarios, I actually like to go Radiant Virtue after Blade of the Rune King. Of course, Blade of the Rune King rush just every single time in top and jungle for this build. But Radiant Virtue is definitely the best tank mythic at the moment. Jak'Sho got nerfed, which should synergize really well with Warwick, but it's just bad right now. And Radiant Virtue, while it doesn't actually have the best synergy with Warwick, as an item, technically it shouldn't be a great Warwick item. It's still just very strong. I don't want to say it's overpowered, but it's kind of close to overpowered. It just gives a ton of raw tank stats. And the amount of utility you can provide in fights with the AoE healing, the AoE CDR, and the healing you actually get, by the way, with your ultimates, combined with the healing with Radiant Virtue, allows you to actually heal a pretty good amount. So yeah, the item just kind of gives you a lot of utility. It's just good in that regard. And afterwards, you can obviously go into more tankier routes, say going into Gargoyle Stone Plates. Or really any tank item like a Sunfire, like a Randwin's, even maybe a Wit's End for a Bruiser build. But you can also go Spear Shojin if you really want more damage. If you built Radiant Virtue and you're kind of snowballing, or you just think you really need a ton of CDR and you just need more damage, then Spear Shojin is another good option to go here. As far as runes are concerned, you can go press the attack here, but this is actually what I'd probably rather go lethal tempo, because your burst damage isn't as high if you're going into Radiant Virtue. So you're not going to be able to burst people below half health and get that attack speed bonus. Therefore, you'd rather have that ramping attack speed from lethal tempo so you can pop off in fights. Lethal tempo is great with tankier builds because you're going to be in a fight much longer, meaning you're going to get much more value out of the high attack speed. In top lane, lethal tempo or grass are both fine. You can even go conquer as well. That's something that you can go really in the jungle or top for any build. But I think the reason why I don't like going conquer over lethal tempo right now is because I'm going Bork in my builds. And Bork and Lethal Tempo have obvious synergy. You know, like the on hit and on Bork is insane, and the higher attack speed you have means the more often you apply that on hit. That's the real reason why I like Bork, or sorry, why I like Lethal Tempo is because we're running Bork. If we're not running Bork and we're trying to, you know, build like tankier, more DPS sustainy type builds, then Conquer would be really, really good as of an option. I mean, it still is. I just think that Lethal Tempo is better, so I prefer to go Lethal Tempo for that reason. So those are my builds for Warwick right now. Let me know what you guys think. I also forgot to mention, I did not talk about Iceborne Gauntlet. I haven't tried it that much, and I think it's still probably like a good option on Warwick in some situations. I just never feel like, to me, it just never screams like an item that just feels good. I guess if you're playing against heavy AD because it gives a ton of armor, it would be really strong. So that's a situation where you could go Iceborne after Blade of the Rune King. But it's really up to you. Feel free to try out Iceborne Gauntlet. I actually want to try it out more this week. And I'll let you know if my opinions change for that reason. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of these builds. Let me know what you guys are building yourself. And I'll be willing to try, you know, out more things as time goes on. But right now, I'm kind of smurfing. So I'm sticking with these builds and just going to see where they take me. So peace out, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.